Well, hello everybody. Yeah, that's right. I'm back again today, and today we had Charlie Malone from Malone's Turf and Landscape, right?
Right.
And on the radio show last weekend, I wanted him to come back in, kind of talk about how to fight this drought. And I don't mean get in your picks, little and start promoting different things, but how can you fix your house so that you don't use as much water? Because I know they're actually coming out and checking to see how much water you're using and if there's water on the ground and all that stuff.
Right.
And after I had you on the show, I said something to my wife about us changing everything, and she said, and you talked about on the show that it didn't, but she was worried that the grass actually would hurt the dogs because how hot it gets.
Right.
Now, is there different layers of grass that don't get as hot?
That supposedly there are. I haven't found any that actually. I mean, advertised is one thing, and if six degrees difference is cooler, but I don't think the dog's going to notice 6 degrees.
Right. So if it's 120 or 114, it's about the same.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. The difference is whether you boil or not.
Yes.
So I kind of want to that was just jumping in there because I remember everything and I wanted to get that before I forgot, because, I get talking and I forget what we want to talk about. So why did you get into turf? I mean, because everybody still wants the landscape and all that stuff, and everybody thinks grass. And I know there are other watering ways you can do grass these days that's a little bit better, but why did you get into turf?
Well, I've been in landscaping for 33 years, and I was a purist. I mean, lawn, there's no substitute for grass. Sprinklers, grass, the whole thing. I loved it. Loved to feel it. Loved to, even love the smell of it, mowing it. But about 10 years ago, with the water issues, I said, it's going to come a point when they're not going to let us have grass just because of the water problems. I says, I better start now and get really good at it. So when it gets hot, no pun intended.
Right.
When the market gets hot, I'm already ahead of the curve and know how to do it and know how to market it, know how to install it. And so that's why I got into it, because I knew we're going to have a water problem in California.
Well, I mean, we've had a water problem in California forever. Yeah. It's always something.
Always something.
Yeah, because you have to have a water problem, and then you have to have it burning in order to pass certain things. And that's the only political thing I'll state.
Okay.
I just feel that because we could fix the water issue by some of the stuff that's already been voted on by the voters. And today is one of those days that everybody gets out and vote.
Right.
And that could fix a lot of things. But because I came from Colorado, which seems like there's a lot of water, but if you've ever seen that, they have issues there. And I remember our front yard when I was a young kid, they did rocks and they did cactus and they did all this stuff because my dad didn't like to mow. But I don't want to see that here in my area, right? That's what most people think, and that's what Arizona is,
right?
And Las Vegas a lot. So if I'm looking at putting turf in, is there different levels of turf, or is it like they have bed sheet count?
It is thread count. It's almost like bed sheet count, but it's called face weight or ounces per square yard. So your typical turf that's a decent middle of the road, it's going to be 50 to 60 ounces of turf per square yard. You get up into the 80s, you can go up to 100 ounces per square. At some point, you get too high and it almost looks fake because it's too nice.
So is that what the thread count means? How nice it looks?
I'm just trying. How thick it is. How thick it is. Now, so you'll take a grass, and a lot of people that I say, I don't want turf, it looks dumb, my neighbor has it. And I'm saying, well, that's because they use a really, really short turf, and it's obvious that it's not real. So the longer you go, anywhere from 1 3/4 to 2 inches, it's going to look more natural. But it depends on what you're doing. If you're in a backyard and you have dogs and you don't want to pick up, when you have to pick up the waste, the longer the turf, it's like gum in a hair. If it's really long hair, it's going to be a mess trying to get it off the lawn. So that's why maybe somebody uses a shorter turf in the back for pets, but in the front yard, you want a longer turf.
But if you, I don't know, but we have this little pitchfork thing that cleans it up pretty easy.
Right.
That you pick it up underneath, not a shovel where you squish it all in.
Right.
Regular turf is kind of like grass, right?
It is.
Okay. So
it is just like grass.
Yeah. So it's a taller, because you were talking about this on the radio show about the thread count, and I didn't think about it at the time because I have a co-host and she talks, and then by the time that's why I want you on afterwards. And most thread counts how it feels on bed sheets, but that's not how this is. Just about how it looks. Right?
It's how it does feel. So there's all kinds of different blade types too. Some blades are really stiff, some are soft. People usually pick the soft one, but however, if they pick the soft one, it doesn't wear as last. So in high traffic areas, you want a little bit stiffer turf so it can hold up to the traffic. So
So how do you figure it out?
It's preference. I give them samples. They can touch it. They can feel it. They can step on it. They can throw it out in their lawn and see if it looks the same as their fescue that they have right now.
Okay. And I think you said there's different colors you can get.
Yeah, colors means that there's some that are maybe more of a light green or bright green,
okay,
or dark green, and so do mix combinations, and that gives it more of the, again, bright or dark. It's not really. You could call it light green, but it's usually brighter. And certain areas like the East Coast, they like the lighter colored stuff, almost a lime green that they mix with the dark green, and it gives it more of a bright color. Versus out here, we're used to dark fescue, and it would look really weird to have one lawn that's got bright green in it. And I don't mean bright like neon green. Just, it's amazing how you change one little color and it changes the color of the turf.
Right. Now they don't mix the different blades and different colors, and because I know, they do.
There's usually 2 colors of turf in one.
Okay. And then what's that called inside there? The
thatch.
Thatch.
The brown thatch is down deep. Okay. That gives it, again, that real look.
All right. So you can actually make it. So has anybody ever looked at a turf and that is grass, and they went and touched it?
All the time.
Oh, really?
All the time. I get people come out, they get out of their car, actually, they walk over there. They got to touch it to see if it's real or not.
Well, because I mean, I've seen turf and it just looks fake.
Right.
And I'm in, and there's, I don't want to say what street I'm on, that I can tell you where they have, it's like bluish green and it's real short-ish. And
that's the short problem. See, you see short turf looks fake, and it also doesn't hide all the imperfections. So there's another thing you can do. Grass always has a crown to it, a little bit of a dome. It's not completely flat. And one of the installation things that people do when they make a mistake is they make everything perfectly flat and it looks too good.
So you don't want it to look too good.
So a slight crown means in a front yard, maybe it's 4 or 5 inches height difference from the middle down to the edges. It just gives a little bit of a crown, which makes it look natural.
All right, so let's go through the process of if I'm coming in, I'm trying to figure out if I should put grass or turf, and you're going through the different things. We know grass is, and I want to ask this question because I need to know.
Right.
I heard there's like a new watering system you can put underneath grass. It's kind of like a drip.
It is. It's called Tech Line, and it's a subterraneous drip lines. I've used it before. I wasn't real happy with the results. It can fail, and when it fails, you can't find where it fails.
Gotcha.
Because where do you look? It's just bubbling out of the ground. So it's a good theory. I would never do it again. It's just a nightmare.
All right. Someone asked a question about turf. How robust is it? Is it fireproof? Probably not. It probably melts, right?
It'll just melt. I've never seen it catch on fire. One thing people do got to be concerned with, if their house faces, any windows face south, and your turf is close to your house, the reflection can melt your turf.
Really?
Yes. Happens all the time.
That's like in Vegas where there was a hotel that was built in the glass, that actually was burning people.
Yeah. It's the same idea. So in that case, you have to use solar screens and it'll fix it.
Or grass, right?
Or grass. Yeah.
But I mean, usually, what are you going to do? Yeah. So somebody else talk about housing supply. There is no housing supply. We're short.
Yes.
So they talked about it. Thank you, JT, for throwing that in there.
Yeah.
But today's show is about turf and what to do, how to help save money on watering, so that because what's going to happen this summer more than any other, they're going to say, okay, you can only water 2 days a week instead of the 3 days a week. And, and a lot of us who water 3 days a week don't just water 3 days a week. We water 2 to 3 times that day.
Right. It's, you can barely keep a grass alive at 2 days a week. And I fear more that they're just going to turn it off and say, sorry, we don't have enough water. You're going to have to let your grass die.
Well, that's probably going to happen this year. But
yeah, I would guess.
So then you're going to be real busy with turf.
Exactly.
Right. And so what does it cost for turf instead? So what does grass talk? I can't talk.
How does grass talk?
Yeah. What is grass? What's the cost of grass versus the cost of turf?
$3.50 to $4 a square foot grass and sprinklers.
Okay.
So turf is anywhere from 10 to 12 depending on the type of turf you choose.
And so is the average square feet for someone's grass 2,000, 3,000?
It's hard to say. Average front lawn is probably 600.
Okay.
So 600, it's about $6,000
for turf.
And
that would be about half that for grass.
About a third.
Yeah.
Just maybe 40%, 40%, depends.
Depends on the cost of the pipe, the PVC pipe.
That's going up crazy too.
Yeah, that's because how they make it. I think there's petroleum in there or something.
Yeah, everything's going up. Every plastic, sprinkler parts, pipe, heads, all of it has gone up 40% just in the last year.
But the positive thing about so in the process for putting turf, I'm sure it's pretty close to putting grass where you have to clean it out and you have to then, certain types of topsoil and stuff. How do you do turf?
Okay, so the first thing you do is you're going to have to excavate 4 inches of your existing grass dirt. We put in a heavy duty weed cloth or landscape fabric, and then we put in 4 inches of road base. We pack that, and of course we cut the turf, nail it down on the perimeter, and then we put sand in it, which is a special sand, not playground sand. It's you have turf sand, you have 30 mesh silica sand. There is also a product that's good for pets that absorbs the odor and breaks down the urea in the urine. So there's different as far as infill goes, but that's the process from excavating to packing the turf to nailing it down.
Okay. And so once you're done with that, you're able to use it. All right. I know I brought it up in the beginning.
Yeah.
How hot does turf get? And say when we're 110 out, is it same as the heat out, or is it like hotter than that?
It's going to be probably like asphalt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because I know with me, I wouldn't walk my dog at 110 because it's just too damn hot out.
It would be too hot.
Yeah. So then the grass at that time would potentially be too hot for the dogs because of the temperature. If it's like asphalt,
it could be. Yeah.
And
keeping it real.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so this, for some people, this might not be the answer for their backyard because they have dogs, but for me in my front yard, that I have these huge trees on Brady that would be perfect for because I mean, it would always look clean. My gardener would be upset because it'd be less for him to work, but he did get to a couple other houses on the street because of me.
Right.
But it, and again, the backyard, for most people, they need a little spot for their dogs. It'd be great to be this kind of stuff, but I think you would have to try to get a shade over it is what I'm hearing.
You would. I mean, I don't know how
I'm not trying to be negative.
No, you have to be negative. I thought this through. I don't know how many dogs lay on the grass. They might lay on the grass now because it's the coolest spot in the yard instead of on the back porch, in the shade. They might go to the lawn because it's cooler. So they may not get to go to the lawn, but they probably wouldn't always be on the lawn anyway.
No, just run out there, use the restroom, come back.
Right. Or
my dogs are spoiled; they hardly ever go outside unless it's to go on a walk or use the restroom.
A dog's probably in the middle of the day. He's probably going to have to go poop in a flower bed, I guess.
That sounds like it. Or in the shade.
Or in the shade somewhere.
All right, that's what kind of wanted to know because I love the look of the turf. It's just because it's nice and perfect, and you don't have to hire a gardener. I mean, somebody has to blow off the leaves, I guess, occasionally, but.
Right, exactly.
What am I missing on the turf? This is your world, not mine. There's got to be something we haven't talked about.
Oh, you're asking me that question?
Mm-hmm. Because I can tell you everything about mortgages. I can tell you about real estate. I can tell you about bubbles, all that kind of stuff. But I want to make sure we covered everything under the turf.
I think I've covered it all. I think people just have to get over the fact that they think of AstroTurf as it's not being natural.
Well, AstroTurf is different. They're talking about
it is
the ballpark.
That's what they think.
Yeah.
That's what they think. First thing they say, hey, do you sell AstroTurf? Because that's just a generic term for artificial turf. It's come so much longer. The UV protection in the blades themselves, the styles, the thatch, the length, all of that has changed. Plus, I think we're just going to get used to the fact, well, what's your alternative? You can put rocks, like you mentioned earlier. You can put cactus. You can just put all plants. There is no substitute for grass to the look of that green look as the contrast to all the rest of your landscaping other than green grass. So if you can't put natural grass, it is the best alternative.
And is that price going up on the turf? Is it made with petroleum and all that other stuff?
It's gone up probably 30 to 35% in just the last 9 months.
Wow. Yeah,
I've had 7 price increases since October.
I guess we got to get this war over with Ukraine.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a flag behind me. I care about America. Yes. So basically, if you, it's a good opportunity. Today you think I'd be able to speak, but if you can't if you don't want grass anymore, this would be perfect to put in instead of making it just dirt and cacti and rocks and other stuff where you can't use it anyway.
Absolutely.
But it also would help with the fact that the water, and I have a feeling that they'll get to a point with all new homes, they'd have to put in turf, kind of
I think just like
that's passing,
I
like
think
solar.
Just like solar.
Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing is they're offering $2 a square foot on a rebate right now. And that's good for the next 3 months.
So that's the city?
It's Modesto City.
Okay. So they do rebate if you are putting turf in instead of grass.
Right. So you have to prove that you have a grass now and sprinklers. The idea is we want you to get away from that and put an alternative. So they also do for drip systems, and they have all different calculations to save on water.
Gotcha. And so basically it would cost you about 8%. I mean, $8 per square foot then. Because you said it's about roughly about 10.
Right.
Yeah. So you'd save a good, almost 20%.
Correct.
That's a good idea. So everybody check it out. You do have a showroom in town. Where's it located?
I do. It's 4724 Coffee Road, just north of Funworks in Shelter Cove at that roundabout.
And it's Malone's Turf and Landscape.
Correct.
And your phone number?
209-495-9581.
One more time.
209-495-9581.
All right, Charlie. Thank you so much for coming back into the show today. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry that I made you wait for a while.
No worries, Ed. Thank you.
All right. And if you guys please check out Charlie Malone's place at Malone's Turf here in Modesto, and look into getting turf if that's something you want to do. I know I'm going to do that. So Charlie, thank you so much for showing up, and everybody, thanks for watching. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.